when you get out of judging others, ooh, this is up there for me. When you stop judging everybody, you become capable of dealing with judgment because that's what's making you susceptible. Because if you're doing it, you're thinking about them doing it and it's fucking you up. When you realize that nobody actually gives a fuck about your life, it's actually liberating. It's not that they don't care, it's just that they're worried about theirs. And if you know that, then you're fully free. At the top of the things I like to talk about is patience. And boy, does nobody want it. None of you fucking wonderful kids want to swallow patience and live it for the next 10 years, but I promise you, the bigger your ambition, the more you have to fall in love with it. And it's fucking hard. Especially now, because so many of you in this generation are obsessed with the optics of being successful more than being successful. Everybody's flexing in one way or another. Even if it's not trying to get 1 million followers on Instagram, it's trying to impress your parents' friends. Like everyone's doing it for everybody but themselves. What you don't know right now, and this is actually huge advice, Ashley J, Clara, Marina, Andrew, everybody on here, Rohit, what you don't know is what it feels like to be 35, and I'm gonna give you the preview. It feels exactly the same way you feel right now. If you realized, all of you, how I sit with you today, this is gonna make all of you laugh. This is no bullshit. It's so crazy how my life works. I literally sit here with all of you right now, and I look at Josh C, and I look at Natalie D, I look at you on the screen, Ryan, Julia, and this is real, I literally think we're friends. Meaning, we're the same age. Which is insane to all of you because I remember when I was 22, my cousin Bobby, who worked in the store, was 30, and I thought he was old as shit. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, yo, Orlando, we're friends, right? But I'm fucking 48 and Orlando's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're as old as my dad. But I feel like we're friends. If you knew what I knew, you would slow everything down. I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, I feel exactly the same way in my soul right this second as I did when I was your age.
There's something that you mentioned about being sensitive, how being sensitive is important. And that's the way I feel with my family too. I'm from India, so you know how the stuff is back home. So it's like you either want to be all this or you want to work at a company, be safe, not risk it at all, because your parents are aging, right?
That's right.
I need to be there for them, to spend time with them. And it's either this or either that.
Yeah, I would also say this. What's good about being 48 and not 22 is I know what it feels like to be a parent. Let me make this very clear to all of you, and this might be the number one thing I say. It could literally change your life. I genuinely believe it. From the bottom of my heart, regardless of what they say, because they say a lot of dumb shit, your parents, I promise you, more than anything else, no matter how narcissistic and selfish they may be, given some may have parents like that, let me promise you something powerful. They just want you to be happy. And so, too many kids do what they think will make their parents happy at the expense of their own happiness, which then leads to everyone being unhappy. Promise. So keep that in mind, my man.
I was just curious your thoughts on what the most important, whether they're soft skills or technical skills or whatever it is, are the most important to develop in the first couple years of your career.
This is a really fun thing to answer. I would argue it is the acceleration of what comes natural to you, balanced with closing the gaps on your most vulnerable part. Think of it like a bridge. Whatever the two most opposite things going on with you, Soph. So for example, if your core natural skill is your compassion and kindness and leadership, and you're just a fucking treat of a human being, well, good news, that fucking matters. And more of that, expanding your charisma, kindness, compassion, empathy. But if you're want to be in media buying and your like math core technical skills is a softness, equally going ham on closing the gap to create that rounding out if you're going to be someone who works in a company. So having a good eye on the expansion of your natural skills while trying to close the gap. You don't have to like, this is where school fucks people up. You're overspending time on shit that doesn't matter. If you're not gonna be technically sound at like math, like if you're bad at it, like you'll never be as good as J-Mo because it's a natural talent thing. But you need to close the gap a little bit so it's not some huge vulnerability. In reverse, if you're the smartest fucker here, but everyone hates you, you better fix that shit. Those things. Got it?
That makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. And back to that, just because I want all of you, like, don't beat yourself up if from 23 to 24, you only did one of those things well. Like, put things in 10-year windows. Like, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've done a great job as CEO this year. Like, I feel great about a lot of things, but we are just not in the financial place we should be. Real talk. But I'm not like, I'm a piece of crap. I'm like, hey, I need to fucking crush 2025. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand this beating yourself up all the fucking time. You guys need to stop. You know what I mean? Like, I love when like a 22-year-old like cousin or friend or acquaintance, like, I suck at relationships. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're 22. Like, please do not say you suck at anything. Please promise me you leave this meeting saying, eliminating the self-conversation that you suck at something. You don't suck, you haven't even started. You might be off to a slow start. You might have not figured it out yet, but enough of this fucking beating yourself up shit. Can we please commit to that? Can you guys give me some like thumbs up or yes or head nod? Like commit to that shit. You're a fucking baby. Like literally 8 years ago, I can tell you everything I did at work. You were in fucking junior high. You're fucking children. This is the best. You're literally in the best decade of your life. And everybody's fucking stressed. For what? Everything you're stressed about right now is something you wish you stress about in 20 years. Enjoy it, promise.
Hi, Gary. It's an honor to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That's very sweet, Ange.
Oh, but I have a question in pertaining like just in general, but like, how do you deal with like a major failure and it was like your dream? And like, how do you like build a new dream and figure it all out again from scratch? Because that's what I'm dealing with as a 28-year-old.
That's fucking amazing. So Ange, are you willing to share your dream? I'm just curious.
I don't want to share it right now.
No worries.
Okay.
Of course, that's why I asked if you wanted to. By realizing I have no choice, Ange.
Mm-hmm. Then you have no choice.
Right.
That's mainly.
The reason it's so easy for me to deal, and I've dealt with plenty of heartache and losses, is because I realize that time machines don't exist yet, and that I have a choice to dwell in the sorrow, which will lead me to not be able to make the next thing go well, or be grateful that I even had a dream, because many people don't, appreciate what the dream did for me in my youth as a North Star and all the fun that came along with the process of dreaming it. And by challenging myself to give myself time to be sorrow and to grieve about the loss of this dream, that's fine, you're a human being. But be equally excited to the morning I wake up where I'm ready to create another one.
I got ya. That's really great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Ange, I mean this, like there is no time machines. You're fortunate that you had one. There are many people on this Zoom right now that don't have one. Mm-hmm. The fact that you had one was the gift, not that you didn't achieve it. I will be uncomfortably fine if I don't buy the New York Jets. Mm-hmm. But The reason I want to buy the New York Jets is because when I was 10, it was so far-fetched that almost subconsciously I understood by giving myself such a big dream, it would keep me busy in a good way. Do you know? Having the dream is the gift, not the achieving of it. As a matter of fact, most people are actually depressed after they achieve a dream.
Really?
Yeah, because the process is the high, not the trophy. Because once you get there, it never meets your expectation. One of the most flattering things that happens to me in my life, I just did it this morning. I did a random breakfast because I'm a weird dude and just said yes to one. And the kids and the dad at the end just thanked me for living up to what they thought I was, right? And it's like such a nice feeling to hear that. Like, you didn't disappoint me. You were who I hoped you were. And it's because I think a lot of us you know how they say don't meet your heroes? I think a lot of us live with cynicism or the fear of being let down on something they put on a pedestal. I view dreams that way as well. Many people achieve their dreams, but the way they imagine their dream is so different than the way their dream actually is that it's actually a depressing moment, not a fulfilling moment. So I would say you're very lucky that you've had a dream.
That means a lot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, please. I've got to do a couple in the room here, team.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask. Like, I'm a resident, so
say hi. Say hi to everybody.
Hey guys. How you doing?
What's your name? Tell everybody.
Toby. So I was gonna say. So I feel like I've made a lot of mistakes.
Good.
Because that's part of the process.
Yes.
Can you think of any ways maybe to deal with mistakes or examples of mistakes you've made in your career maybe that you've kind of moved on from?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, to be very frank, like, I actually think life is predominantly mistakes with occasional wins. Yeah. Like, real talk. This goes back to like my dream that all of you get comfortable with being uncomfortable. The way I deal with mistakes is, first of all, I'm accountable, but not beating myself up. So like, what department are you in?
Media.
Perfect. I was hoping you were gonna say that. I don't go home after those mistakes and say, fuck, I'm so much dumber than everybody on the media resident team. I go home and say, should I do media? Though I use mistakes as opportunities to be self-reflective. Even though I might have thought I wanted to do media, should I? So first I use it as, is this teaching me anything? On the flip side, I also look at it from, if I want to conquer this, for whom? Like, do you want to get better at this to close the gap of insecurity around math? Or attention to detail to fit in? Or are you just curious because you're going to enjoy the process of getting better at it? So I go very self-reflective, even as a kid, on mistakes. And I go very hard on the two opposites. Is this just telling me like, fuck, maybe I should be an accountant? Or is this something that I want to get better at, but for me, not for them?
Thank you.
I'll try to give you some mistakes. Fuck, what's really hard about, so I've made so many mistakes, but like when you're talking about, I mean, bro, when you're talking about the shit you're talking about, those are fucking minor things. They can be major things because we can't really fuck up media and we gotta pay back and like there's stuff, but like I've said, when email marketing built Wine Library, like there was times where I sent we had a do not email anymore list. And one time I clicked and sent emails to only the people on the do not email, and then Google could like ban us and I couldn't send emails and it would destroy our business. Like, that's scary. And people were mad, they're like, well, I fucking like, that's not fun. I've got 7 trillion like that. Texting the wrong person of information that they can't see. I mean, I can spend the rest of my life telling you shit that I've done wrong. I think for you at this point, you need to figure out what I'm telling you. Is this telling you like, fuck this, attention to detail math is not where I want to take my talents? Or, okay, I want to actually try to tackle this, but for me, not to fit in, or, you know what I mean? Come from a place of enjoying the adversity versus closing the gap of insecurity. Got it? Yeah. That's a big one. Oh, I like that one. Like when you do things because you want to enjoy the adversity and persevere versus doing it to close the gap of insecurity and judgment of others, then you should do it. But if you're doing it because you feel like you want everybody on screen right now to think you're just as good as them in media buying, that's a terrible reason to do it.
Makes sense, thank you.
You got it.
My question was, if you were to start all over again with no money, no resources in 2024 going into 2025, how would you go about starting your own media agency?
God, I wish I was starting it now. By making unlimited content of my opinions. I wish. I fucking wish. If I started VaynerMedia today, at the time I started VaynerMedia, but this was the media landscape, we would have 700,000 employees. We would have been much bigger because I would have just put my thoughts on wax, AKA posts all over the place, and it would have led to much faster growth.
Opinions on business-related stuff?
On everything, on marketing, on the whole nine. Like now, remember, Rohit, here's the punchline. I was right. So if you go make you or Sean or anybody else, if you go make 100 videos and you're wrong, you're in trouble. Yeah, thank you, Oliver. That's the part that I think people forget. I'm a very tough read in a lot of ways. I think the part that most people forget is I end up being right. Like that matters. I talked to this company 7 years ago and said, TikTok, I'm giving you the preview. They all laughed at me internally. The reason so many people that have been here for 7 years pay attention to when I'm talking is they can recount the many times they thought I was wrong where I ended up being right. That's how you build reputation and credibility. But you all have the luxury of working here, and I think that's a huge benefit if you want to go down that path, because I think you're going to say things right if you understand what I'm saying. That's what I love about business. It's the closest thing to sports. Merit matters, right? Like, bro, if you and I played basketball right now, somebody's gonna win. Like one of us would know who's better. In life, school, politics, parenting, there is no version of that. The only other thing that kind of has winning and losing is business. Unfortunately, the way people pay taxes, the way they use politicians, there's more manipulation of merit in business than sport. But business is the only other thing that's got it. That's why I love it so much. I love the game. I notice how when I delivered, I don't think I did a good job. There was almost like a level of like me liking it. I like that. I like the humility that comes along with that, the challenge. It's not self-deprecation, it's accountability. These are all things that I wish that you all developed because it will lead you to a much more peaceful place. But everybody avoids it like the plague. This is what's happening in society that I'm trying to keep you all away from. Stop blaming people. You want to get much happier? Like much happier. Don't blame presidents. Neither one of these two is going to have that much to do with your life, believe it or not. Definitely don't blame your parents. That's where all of you get fucked up. If you're mad at your parents, be mad at your grandparents. They're the ones who fucked them up. And then if you're mad at your grandparents, if you're lucky enough to know your great-grandparent, find them and yell at them. I always get pissed about this. Grandparents get such a pass. Kids are all pissed at their fucking parents, but then they love their grandma. I'm like, your fucking grandma fucked up your mom. It's a real thing. I'm really passionate about this because what ends up happening is the person that you're demonizing right now, your mom, your dad, all of a sudden when you hear me say that, if you're lucky enough to know your grandparents and you really take a step back and think, all of a sudden you go from anger and resentment to your parents to compassion for them. Like, you're in control. Do you understand?
Hey Gary, wondering what you think the biggest problem in the world is right now?
Entitlement. You couldn't have asked a better question, my brother, to what I was just saying. It's really hurting us. I think we've lost thank you, Jay. I think Pierre, I think we've really lost it. I think we've lost the plot. I don't understand why you will spend all your time thinking about what's bad versus what's good. Entitlement, man. I don't know why people think the world owes them anything. For what? You know what I mean? I think what worked for me, brother, is I don't think anybody owes me anything. I think it's why I work as a CEO. When I tell you for real, that I sit here in front of all of you, literally my brain says, I work for you, you don't work for me. I don't know what else to tell you. That's literally how my brain hears it. And I think that people are just like, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know, that's why I asked.
I think if you look carefully, brother, and obviously I've gotten to know you a little bit lately because we played some basketball, and I even like the way you play it, and you grew up in the city, and I know a little bit about you, it's inconceivable to me of the little I know about you that you haven't been surrounded by kids that live a pure, entitled life. Bro, I really struggle being the son of a mom who had to go outside to go to the bathroom because Russia in the 50s and 60s was so ghetto. It really is a struggle for me to feel bad when I hear a kid say that they're crying because they can't go to Ibiza like their other friends. The fuck are we talking about? Sorry that your parents aren't paying for you to go to Mykonos for 2 fucking weeks to fucking pop Molly. Sorry. The fuck are you actually crying about? You know what I mean? We're just so lost in the fucking, I don't know what the fuck's going on. But I know it's real bad parenting. But I also know that just because you maybe were all over coddled or under coddled or coddled to the left or right, good news. You might be young as shit, but I have great news. You're now in control. You're a big girl, big boy. And so you're either gonna decide that you're gonna blame everybody from your parents to your teachers, to your circumstance, to what order you were born in your family, to whatever else you got going in your head. You're gonna point fingers in perpetuity. I prefer that all of you point thumbs, because what might hurt for a couple of weeks of recalibrating everything is your fault actually leads to all your own happiness. I promise you, if you're in this meeting right now, this is as simple as I can say it. If you are in this meeting right now, let me give you the 800 million people I know your life's better than. There are 800 million people on earth that do not have access to clean water. $800 million people can't drink clean water within a 7 or 8 hour window, depending on how they define it. What are we complaining about? Your Wi-Fi's not powerful in your apartment? There's no conference rooms available and it's loud on the floor? What do we complain? I'm struggling. They gave you the wrong milk in your coffee? I watch people complain and I'm like, we are lost. Lost. So.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it, my brother.
So, not sure if it's different from physical products like e-commerce, but how would you start over marketing a SaaS?
Oh, I love SaaS marketing because I'm obsessed that LinkedIn continues to be the underpriced platform of organic reach. I would start a podcast that brought value to the industries that my SaaS product was servicing. So let's say I did Hi Bob and I was in HR, I would start a podcast around HR in general. Got it? So the more value in the macro I could bring, but then I could narrow it down when I do the right hook and tell them about my business in the podcast or at the beginning of the podcast or the end of the podcast. So I would create a podcast in the genre that brings value to the industry that I'm gonna be a part of. And then I would chop up those pieces of content and fucking crush LinkedIn on best practices on the SMA excellence that I'm clearly obsessed with if you watched yesterday's meeting. Make sense?
Yeah.
June, LinkedIn organic is a fucking gold mine. But like anything, you have to be good at it. Which is why I'm so obsessed about everybody in creative and strategy starting to get into the analytics, right? Which is why I keep pushing everyone to become a practitioner at content platform strategy, right? Like really understanding the thumbnail, the first second, all that fucking gnarly shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, say hi, tell everyone.
Hi, everyone. My question is, in some of your work, you've talked about how people want to watch like the modern commercial, something that doesn't feel like your typical type of commercial. And at least from my recognition, watching commercials when I was younger with my family, it seems like it used to be something that people enjoyed watching. But now since our attention is so fleeting, people don't want to watch it. I just wonder, do you think?
I don't think it's a fleeting attention issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think commercials today just suck shit.
Okay.
I just think actually 30 years ago, 20 years ago, like people were better at it. I do. I think the talent that used to be in advertising to make better commercials now does it for themselves.
Okay. Do you think we'll ever return to that space where commercials are just better like they were 20, 30 years ago?
I'd like to think we are that company. I'd like to think that what we do, especially when we do VV1, I'd love to think we can be that. And I also think it's what we're doing on social, right? Like the Duracell Bravo ad, that's just a good ad, you know? Yeah. And so, yeah, I'd like to think we can be that positive change.
Hi, so I'm gonna pivot here to a little bit of a sports question, not about the Jets.
I'm ready for that, Emma.
But I'm curious how, what your take on the NIL college athlete rule changes has impacted Vayner Sports and where you kind of see that going moving forward and how we can leverage it within our media and within our brands.
It accelerated Vayner Sports' growth because so many kids that we have an offensive lineman at the University of Georgia who has the ability to be a top 50 pick, first or second round, who's gonna sign with us, who would have never signed with us before because we were still growing as an agency, but because we do his NIL, he got to know us and now he knows, like, it's completely changed everything for us because it's marketing and that's our strength.
Mm-hmm.
I think NIL is one of the best marketing opportunities for brands.
Yeah, it's wild.
So NIL, and then women's sports is exploding in parallel. So now you've just opened up the entire aperture of different, I mean, NIL's fucking amazing for the kids, for the brands. Obviously, like anything, there's brands that are overpaying NIL, right? They're paying $100K for the starting quarterback at Clemson, and then the kid gets hurt, and then it's a waste. Like everything, there's anything that you can do good, but in the overall, it's a huge opportunity. And it's bleeding more and more into our business. Zach Rubin at Vayner Sports has done a great job in building his relationships with Nick and Kaylin and Avery, and it's starting to happen where our two companies are intermingling more. And to me, NIL just means influencer marketing. And just like with influencer marketing, go do good deals. Don't overpay for Emma Chamberlain. Get Alex Earl 2 months before she becomes Alex Earl, right? Like, do it right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So something I've been thinking about a lot recently, especially like I just graduated in May, is like just being really grateful and present and enjoying like the moment that I'm in my life now, because it's like such a big period of transition. And
it's huge. It's huge.
But at the same time, like at this point in life, I feel like something that we talk about a lot is like having goals, having ambition, like thinking about the future. So how do you balance like having those things and like forward thinking, having your goals, having your dreams, but also not letting that take away from like being happy now and not just like pining after this thing and then like being like, oh, like I'm not there yet. So like I'm so upset, even though like things are great now, even though you might not be there yet. Like, how do you kind of hold those things in tension and like still stay positive and happy now and like not too zeroed in on that always?
I fucking get it. This is literally, that question, thank you, Chloe, sums up everything I want for all of you. How do I do it? I do it by actually genuinely not being full of shit when it comes to gratitude and perspective. You know that you have your whole life in front of you, and you know the things that are good, right? You know that you have friends, how many, you can have 1, you can have 20, I don't, like, you know what you have that is good, right? You do not know what's gonna happen in the future. So my point of view on this is being grateful and optimistic and truly grateful about what you have, and realize that the world, this is such a profound thing that I need everybody to hear. The world sells fear. I need all of you to hear me on this. The world sells fear. All of you, without knowing anything about how you were parented in a manner where your parents weaponized fear, without them even realizing it. This is zero judgment on your parents. This is, don't touch that or you'll burn your hand. This is, like, don't hang out with that kid or you're gonna hang with the wrong crowd. Go to a good school, like, it's fear. This one's gonna do this and this is gonna be like, it's just fucking fear. So, Chloe, like, I don't fucking know. Like you could, like a piano could fall on your head while you're going to Starbucks tomorrow and you could die. I have no idea what's gonna happen. You could literally marry the next fucking Jeff Bezos. I don't fucking know. Like you don't know. But what you do know is what's good today. You also know what's bad today. I just would say focus as much energy on what's good today. That doesn't mean, look, when I was 22, I had unlimited goals. But we've talked about this in this session already. Don't obsess about those goals for anybody but yourself. Even the way you ask the question. What do you mean that we should have ambitions? Who said? Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to hear what's being said to you by whom. Your parents love you so much that they're always going to be scared that you don't marry someone good, that you don't make, like, that's what parents do. They're scared shitless all the time. Because when you guys all have kids, you're gonna realize you love your fucking kids in a way that makes no fucking sense. But I would say for you to take the pressure off your chest, focus on enjoying today. That doesn't mean become a fucking loser and have fucking entitlement. It means put one foot in front of the other, do your thing, but like you have unlimited time to figure it out. Now, if you have clarity on do you have full clarity on what makes you happy in life and professionally yet, Chloe? Good. So,
not professionally, but I feel like in life, like I have a lot of clarity about that.
Tell me about that.
I think like definitely just like being around like friends, family, like getting to meet new people, getting to travel, like being outside, like those are all things that I feel like really bring me purpose. And like to your point of like who's asking me like, oh, it's important to have ambition. Like I think in this period of my life, like all the adults that I've talked to are like, okay, so like, girl boss, like CEO, your career. And I'm like, I'm like, more just thinking about,
are you, can I ask you a question? Like, do you want to be a fucking CEO, girl boss?
Like, no, but I feel like that's really looked down upon to like put your...
It's not. Like, for example, if you decide to look there, I don't know if you're looking somewhere else, let me tell you something else that's happening in society. It's now being looked down upon by many people in our country of women not wanting to just be stay-at-home moms. It's looking like it is being, I'm actually happy about this when it's the good version, which is I am thrilled because I am the byproduct of remarkable mothering. I am with you and you look at me the way you look at me right now because of remarkable mothering. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that I believe the best girl boss CEOs in the world are stay-at-home moms. It's the hardest job and it's the highest impact. I also think it's remarkable if somebody wants to be a working mom, a working dad. A stay-at-home dad feels the same way. Raising a child, remarkably, is fucking impossible. So you just need to know who the fuck you are, Chloe. I never listen to anyone who does shit that I don't want. If you don't want to be a girl boss CEO, what the fuck are you listening to a girl boss CEO's advice for? And by the way, here's the best part about being young. Maybe today you don't want to be a girl boss CEO. What about at 27 when you're a very different version of yourself, you just wake up and be like, you know what, wait a minute, I fucking love this shit. Good news. Just like if someone here, like Ashan just said he wants to do 47 things, but guess what? He might fall in love, have a child, wake up one morning and be like, I want to be a stay-at-home dad for the rest of my life. Guess what? Good for you. The number one thing that people don't understand is that changing your mind is a strength. Shit changes. I don't mean in a week coming up with 97 different things. That's called indecisiveness. I mean living life and realizing every chapter has different variables that change the outcome. You might have a point of view right now and God forbid your mom does die from a terminal disease within a month. It might I think we can all agree that might change your fucking perspective. Just be open for life to play out. And don't put pressure on yourself, especially not now. And by the way, even if you're 70, don't put pressure on yourself. Who are you living your life for? Live it for you, not at the expense of others, but you must live it for yourself. And I don't say that thinking it's easy. It's not. But I'm telling you, and it's so hard at this age because you're just coming out of high school dynamics, which are not too far away. You must break out of high school dynamics as you get older. Other people, there is no cool crowd. There is no opinions that matter. Remember like in high school, like you were worried about your zit and you were like all stressed going in? Nobody really said anything really outside of your buddies who are really just good-natured in that because they're worried about their zit. And that is the analogy of life. When you realize that nobody actually gives a fuck about your life, it's actually liberating. It's not that they don't care, it's just that they're worried about theirs. And if you know that the way I know it, then you're fully free. I always say this, I wish every person could live in the world as the only person in the world. I think they'd all be happy, outside that we need each other and all that. It's just the judgment. When you realize that judgment has no legs, how can you judge someone? This is like when people judge public figures, I laugh. You can't, I think all of you are gonna know this. Even at this young of an age, think about all the things you know that nobody on earth knows about you. Nobody. Thoughts, maybe even actions, right? Like not one person, not your best friend, not your sibling. So how are you judging other people when you know nothing? Like, you know nothing about them. You guys work in my company. I am very public. You have definite opinions about me. You don't know anything about me. And so when you get out of judging others, this is a fucking profound thing to say. This is fucking, this is up there for me. When you get out of when you stop judging everybody, you become capable of dealing with judgment. So stop gossiping. Stop putting people down. Got it? Because that's what's making you susceptible. Because if you're doing it, you're thinking about them doing it and it's fucking you up. Because I don't do it, because my mom taught me, because she doesn't do it, it doesn't even run through my mind what you're doing. Got it? Fight for that.
If you could go back and tell your 22-year-old beginning of career self advice, what would it be and why?
I was a very weird 22-year-old in the fact that like I was already running a pretty big business, right? I'd grown up in a family liquor store business since I was 14 and I worked like a lot, like every weekend, every summer vacation. So every holiday, I worked a lot. By the time I was 22, I had like literally worked years and years of my life. And so to that kid, which is in a very different spot than most of you on this call right now, I would say, look, you got lucky in the genetics of being good at like your career and your profession, what you need to watch out for is your kryptonite is gonna be your inability to be candorous to your employees, to your coworkers, because you don't like negativity, you don't like confrontation, you don't like to be the bearer of bad news. And that's all fine, and it's actually a lovely trait, but you have it so out of balance that it's gonna lead to sloppiness, resentment, and things that shouldn't happen for you given your intent and talents. So instead of waiting to 40 something like I did to start getting better at it, why don't you start trying to get better at it at 22? So for me, that would have been that. Holly, to make this more valuable to everybody, for the people in here that struggle with confrontation or candor, I'm telling you, it's something worth going to therapy for. It's something worth working on, because it will lead to resentment. It will lead to breakups. It will lead to things. And it's usually, it makes you popular up front, but it comes at your expense and then it comes at their expense. So I highly recommend, if this resonates, to use this moment to start chipping away at it. And by the way the to get better at it is called practice. Just like, some of us on this call were scared to kiss a girl or boy. Some of us were scared to swim. Some were scared to ride a bike. Some were scared, and really everything you've ever been scared of, the only way it got better is by you doing it more. So if this is resonating heavy and you can really think of a certain situation, parents, friends, siblings, your current relationships, practicing delivering candor. This is why kind candor is so big at Vayner. It was our flaw too as a company, clearly, because if I was the founder, it was trickling down. So, but for general advice that will be valuable to all of you, the number one mistake that all of you will make is to do a job that you don't like for some other reason. For the money, for the fear of trying your dream, for your parents, for your inability to tap into your passions and just think it doesn't matter and going to indifference. Every one of you here, right now, every one of you should be taking on the biggest risks of your life during this decade. If you wanted to be an actress, this is the moment to go for it, not when you're 39 and have a child. If you want to be whatever you want to be, the thing that you have never told anybody in the world what you actually want to be, this is the moment you need to jump and go at it, because you can afford it. And I don't mean your parents are gonna pay for you. I mean, if you wanna follow a dream, you're young enough to live in a shithole and eat shitty and do nothing, because you just can. You're a kid. You can live with 4 people in a fucking studio if you really wanted to. You just can. It's fucking amazing. You have for everything I have, you have something better. It's called time. And so do not allow your insecurities to make other people think you've made it dictate your behavior. One of the biggest mistakes a lot of you will make is you're gonna do something because you want to make it look like you have it figured out and that you're successful. Do not do that. Be actually happy and successful. And that is called go through the process of this next decade of figuring yourself out and taking really substantially big risks that aren't real risks. Like, again, at what cost? You don't have a good job at 27, neither do plenty of people. And oh, by the way, there are plenty of people that work at this company and other companies that are 27 that aren't happy. So what are we really talking about?
I hope all's well. Thank you again so much for taking the time. I know you're a very busy guy. Also, I did take that Polaroid photo of you like 2 years ago in your office.
Yes, dude, I remember, of course.
But, I've started random nonsensical clothing stuff, like done a lot of different side hustles. And I think I finally landed on one that I absolutely love. And I'm starting it with my brother pretty soon. And I just, any advice for the first 100 days that you could give?
What are you guys doing?
It's involved in oddly a condiment area, sauce.
I love it. So you're gonna sell like a barbecue sauce or a ketchup or a mustard or something like that?
Something along the lines of just like changing that existing, sauce industry, I'd say.
Okay. I would spend 12 hours a day DMing influencers. That's what I would do. If I was the third brother and I knew we were gonna be selling something in what you've been able to tell me in this cryptic language that you think is a secret that I know is not, what I would do is I would DM influencers 12 hours a day and say, we're building this, would you like one? Like, you're gonna need awareness, and you don't have $1 million in media to get awareness. So, to me, what you have is the thing I started with, which is your hustle and your time. The biggest mistake that people make when they start a company is they're not comfortable doing uncomfortable things. When I say 12 hours a day DMing, I actually mean it. When I say 12 hours a day and people get hyped, they're like, okay, GaryVee, I'm gonna go do it. They go do 27 minutes. So the tenacity of how you get the brand out there through content and business development with platforms is gonna have a direct correlation to how successful this company's gonna be. Sound good?
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
For you, it's gonna be content, right, that you make, and awareness that humans can bring to you. And obviously, like, The Rock's not gonna answer you.
Yeah.
But like an up and coming comedian that, is Sean Gillis 6 years ago, who lives in New York, who's got 1,300 followers, who might pop, they will.